Flexibility after 50 isn't just about touching your toes. It's about whether you can get off the floor without using your hands, whether you can look over your shoulder to back out of a parking space without wincing, whether you wake up stiff or supple. Most people assume that tightness, creaking joints, and shrinking range of motion are simply the price of aging. They're not. In cultures where people move differently, where ancient rituals shape daily life, flexibility and strength don't vanish at 60. They deepen. Here's what caught my attention. In a review of mobility patterns across populations with unusually high rates of healthy aging, researchers found that people who maintained specific ground-based movement practices into their 70s and 80s showed joint health markers more commonly seen in individuals decades younger. Their hips stayed mobile. Their spines stayed supple. Their balance remained sharp. The difference wasn't genetics. It wasn't diet alone. It was how they moved day after day in ways that most Western routines completely ignore. Another finding. When biomechanics teams studied the squat patterns of older adults in traditional societies versus those in industrialized countries, they found dramatic differences in ankle, knee, and hip mobility. The traditional groups could comfortably rest in a deep squat for minutes at a time, a position that loads the joints gently, lubricates cartilage, and stretches the entire posterior chain. Most Americans over 60 can't hold that position for 5 seconds without falling backward. That gap represents decades of lost movement vocabulary, and it shows up as stiffness, falls, and a shrinking world. Today, I'm walking you through 5 ancient mobility rituals that have kept people strong, flexible, and independent well into old age. These aren't exercises in the gym sense. They're practices, woven into daily life, that address the exact patterns your body loses as you age unless you deliberately preserve them. I'm going to show you how to adapt each one for your current level, how to progress safely, and why each ritual works the way it does. The second one involves a position you probably haven't held since childhood, but it might be the single best thing you can do for hip and pelvic floor health. The first one is so simple you can start today, yet it targets the mobility issue that predicts fall risk more accurately than almost any other measure. Before we go further, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from and whether you can currently sit down on the floor and stand back up without using your hands. Just a quick yes or no. It helps me understand who's here and what you're working with. Let's start with the ritual that hardly anyone in the West practices anymore, yet it might be the most important movement pattern you can reclaim. It's called the deep squat rest, and in many parts of Asia, the Middle East, and indigenous communities worldwide, it's how people wait, rest, cook, and socialize. Not a fitness move, a default human position. Your ancestors spent hours in this shape, and your body is built for it. The problem is, if you don't use it, you lose it fast. Why does this matter after 50? Because the deep squat loads your ankles, knees, hips, and spine in a way that maintains the full range of motion you need for every other movement in life. It gently stretches your Achilles tendons and calves, opens your hips, decompresses your lower back, and keeps your pelvic floor engaged and responsive. When you lose the ability to squat deeply, you lose the foundation for safe bending, lifting, and getting up from low surfaces. You also lose a huge chunk of ankle dorsiflexion, the ability to bring your shin forward over your foot, which is one of the strongest predictors of fall risk in older adults. Research on movement patterns in populations with low rates of hip and knee arthritis consistently points to regular deep squatting as a protective factor. The position bathes your cartilage in synovial fluid, the lubricant your joints need. It maintains the elasticity of the tendons and ligaments around your knees and hips, and it keeps the muscles of your lower body working through their full range, which prevents the shortening and weakening that leads to injury. Here's a story. A woman named Linda, 72, former elementary school teacher, came to me because she couldn't garden anymore. Getting down on her knees hurt and getting back up felt impossible. She'd stopped cooking elaborate meals because standing at the counter for long periods made her lower back ache. I introduced her to squat progressions. We started with her holding onto a kitchen counter and lowering herself just a few inches. feet wide, heels elevated on a folded towel. Every morning, she'd spend 30 seconds in that supported position while her coffee brewed. Over 8 weeks, she gradually lowered the towel height, narrowed her stance slightly, and increased her time. By 3 months, she could hold a full deep squat, heels flat for a minute without support. Her back pain disappeared. She started gardening again, using the squat to move around her beds instead of kneeling. She told me it felt like she'd unlocked a part of her body she thought was gone forever. Here's how you start. Find a stable surface you can hold on to, a countertop or a sturdy railing. Stand with your feet slightly wider than hip width, toes angled out about 15 degrees. Hold the support and slowly lower yourself as far as you can go without pain, keeping your heels down if possible. If your heels lift, place a folded towel or a thin book under them. Stay there for 10 to 30 seconds, breathing slowly. Do this once or twice a day. Your goal over weeks and months is to gradually reduce the height under your heels, increase your time, and eventually let go of the support. Don't rush. This is a position your body will remember if you give it time. A note on safety. If you have acute knee pain or a recent injury, talk to a physical therapist before going deep. But for most people over 50, the squat is not dangerous. Avoiding it is. Now, here's the kicker. Once you can hold a comfortable squat for a minute or more, you can start using it throughout your day. Squat while you're waiting for something. Squat while you're playing with grandkids. Squat instead of bending forward to pick something up. It becomes a tool, not a challenge. And that's when the real magic happens, when the ritual becomes invisible, woven into how you move. The second ritual is even less common in Western life, and it might make you uncomfortable at first. It's called sitting cross-legged on the floor, or in some traditions, sitting in variations of lotus or half-lotus positions. In Japan, sitting seiza, kneeling with your legs folded under you, is still a daily practice. In India, Thailand, and many parts of Africa, floor sitting in cross-legged positions is the norm for meals, socializing, and work. These positions do something that chairs can't. They require and maintain hip mobility, core stability, and spinal alignment. They also strengthen the deep stabilizers of your pelvis and lower back in a way that prevents the postural collapse so common in older adults. Here's what the research suggests. Populations that sit on the floor regularly show lower rates of hip stiffness and better preservation of internal and external hip rotation as they age. Hip rotation is critical. It's what allows you to walk smoothly, pivot without twisting your knee, and get in and out of a car without pain. When you lose hip rotation, your knees and lower back compensate, and that's when injuries start piling up. Floor sitting also engages your pelvic floor naturally. When you're in a cross-legged position, the muscles of your pelvic floor have to work to stabilize your pelvis and support your spine. This is especially important for women post-menopause, when pelvic floor weakness becomes common and contributes to incontinence and pelvic organ prolapse. Men benefit too. A strong, responsive pelvic floor supports prostate health and core stability. I worked with a man named George, 68, retired electrician, who had chronic lower back pain and trouble sleeping. His hips were so tight he couldn't sit comfortably in any position for more than a few minutes. I suggested he start sitting on the floor for just 2 minutes a day, using cushions and support. He was skeptical. Sitting on the floor felt childish to him. But he tried it, propping himself up on a thick cushion with his back against the couch. After 2 weeks, he noticed his back felt looser in the mornings. After a month, he could sit cross-legged without the cushion for 5 minutes. By 3 months, he was eating breakfast on the floor every day, and his back pain had dropped by more than half. He told me he felt more stable on his feet, like his hips had unlocked something in the rest of his body. He was right. They had. Here's your protocol. Start by sitting on a firm cushion or a folded blanket, thick enough that your hips are higher than your knees. Sit cross-legged with your shins roughly parallel to each other. If this is too much, extend one leg out in front and keep the other bent. Rest your hands on your knees or thighs. Sit tall, lengthen your spine, breathe. Start with 2 minutes. Do this daily, perhaps while you're watching something or having your morning coffee. Over time, reduce the height of your cushion and increase your duration. Aim for 10 to 15 minutes. Switch which leg is in front halfway through if you're doing a simple cross. If your knees are higher than your hips and it feels like a struggle, add more cushion height. If you feel pain in your knees, back off and try a wider leg position or support under your knees. The goal is not to force flexibility. It's to invite it back, session by session. Once you're comfortable, experiment with getting down to the floor and back up without using your hands. This is a separate skill, but it's one of the most powerful predictors of longevity. Studies have shown that the ability to sit and rise from the floor without support correlates strongly with lower all-cause mortality. It's a full-body integration test. Balance, strength, flexibility, and coordination all in one movement. The third ritual comes from traditional Chinese and Indian practices, and it's about spinal mobility. It's often called the cat-cow flow in yoga, but its roots go much deeper. In Taoist health traditions, keeping the spine flexible is considered essential to longevity. The spine houses your nervous system. When it's stiff, your whole body suffers. When it's supple, energy, blood, and nerve signals flow freely. This isn't mystical. It's physiology. Your spine is designed to move in 6 directions: flexion, extension, side bending left and right, and rotation left and right. Most people over 50 have lost a significant range in at least 4 of those directions, especially extension and rotation. You spend your day in a slight forward slump. Sitting, driving, reading, cooking, all of it reinforces flexion. Your spine forgets how to go the other way. The result is a stiff, painful back, poor posture, shallow breathing, and a loss of dynamic balance. The cat-cow movement, done slowly and mindfully, reintroduces all the ranges your spine needs. It mobilizes every vertebra from your tailbone to the base of your skull. It massages your internal organs. It stretches and strengthens the deep muscles that stabilize your spine. And it teaches you how to move your spine independently from your hips and shoulders, a skill that protects you from injury in daily life. In some studies of older adults with chronic low back pain, regular gentle spinal mobility work, including movements like cat-cow, reduced pain and improved function as effectively as many medications without the side effects. The practice also enhances proprioception, your sense of where your body is in space, which directly improves balance. Margaret, 75, former postal worker, had lived with low back stiffness for years. She described it as feeling like her spine was set in concrete. Bending forward to tie her shoes was difficult. Looking up to reach a high shelf made her dizzy. I taught her a simple cat-cow routine, done on her hands and knees on a yoga mat or a folded blanket. 4 minutes every morning. She moved slowly, exhaling as she rounded her spine like a cat, inhaling as she arched gently like a cow. No forcing, just breathing and moving. After 3 weeks, she called me. She said she felt taller. Her back didn't ache when she woke up. She could look up without feeling off balance. After 2 months, she added gentle spinal twists while seated. Her spine, she said, felt awake. Here's how you do it. Get on your hands and knees, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. If kneeling is painful, place a folded towel under your knees or do the movement standing, hands on a countertop, hinging at your hips. Start in a neutral spine. Inhale and gently arch your back, lifting your chest and tailbone toward the ceiling. This is cow. Exhale and round your spine, tucking your tailbone and dropping your head. This is cat. Move slowly, matching breath to movement. Do 8 to 10 cycles, once or twice a day. Focus on moving every part of your spine, not just your lower back. After a few weeks, you can add side bending. From neutral, shift your hips to the right and arc your spine into a gentle crescent, looking back toward your right hip. Return to center. Repeat on the left. This wakes up side-to-side mobility, then add rotation. From neutral, lift your right hand and open your chest to the right, looking up at your hand. Return. Repeat on the left. This is spinal twist on all fours. Slow. Controlled. breath-led. Do not force any movement. If something pinches or hurts, back off. The goal is to explore range, not prove anything. Over time, these small daily practices accumulate. Your spine becomes more fluid. Your posture improves. Your breathing deepens. You stand taller without trying. Here's what most people miss. Spinal mobility isn't separate from hip mobility or shoulder mobility. Your body is one continuous system. When your spine moves well, your hips and shoulders move better. When your hips are stuck, your spine compensates. That's why these rituals work together. The fourth ritual is about balance, and it's rooted in practices from Japan and martial arts traditions across Asia. It's single leg standing, often practiced during daily activities like brushing teeth or waiting for water to boil. In traditional Japanese health culture, standing on one leg is both a diagnostic tool and a training method. If you can't stand on one leg for at least 20 seconds, your fall risk is elevated. If you can build that time to a minute or more, you've significantly strengthened the stabilizers that keep you upright and safe. Balance declines with age for several reasons. The sensory nerves in your feet and ankles lose sensitivity. The reflexes that catch you when you stumble slow down. The small stabilizing muscles around your ankles, knees, and hips weaken from disuse. And your vestibular system, the balance mechanism in your inner ear, becomes less sharp. But all of these systems respond to practice. Balance is trainable at any age. Research on falls in older adults consistently shows that single-leg balance time is one of the best predictors of future falls. It's better than muscle strength alone. It's better than flexibility alone. Because balance requires integration. Strength, flexibility, proprioception, vision, and vestibular input all working together in real time. When you practice single-leg standing, you're training that integration. I remember a man named Thomas, 69, retired engineer, who came to me after a near fall on an icy sidewalk. He caught himself, but it scared him. He realized he didn't trust his balance anymore. I had him try standing on one leg, eyes open. He lasted 11 seconds before wobbling. We started a simple protocol. Every morning and evening while brushing his teeth, he stood on one leg for as long as he could, up to 60 seconds. He held the edge of the sink lightly, just enough to stay safe. After 1 week, he was at 15 seconds without support. After 4 weeks, 30 seconds. After 3 months, he could stand on one leg for a full minute, eyes open, no support. He also started walking more confidently. He told me he felt rooted, stable, like he could trust his body again. Here's your starting point. Stand next to a wall or counter for safety. Shift your weight onto your right leg and lift your left foot just a few inches off the ground. Hold for as long as you can, up to 60 seconds. Don't lock your knee. Keep a slight bend. Breathe. Your standing leg will micro-adjust constantly. That's normal. That's your stabilizers working. Switch sides. Do this twice a day. Track your time. Celebrate progress. Once you can hold 60 seconds easily on each side, progress to eyes closed. This removes visual input and forces your vestibular and proprioceptive systems to work harder. Start with 10 seconds. Build from there. Next progression, add head turns. Stand on one leg and slowly turn your head left and right. This challenges your vestibular system directly. Final progression, single leg balance on an unstable surface like a folded towel or a balance pad. But don't rush to this. Master the basics first. The beauty of this ritual is you can layer it into your existing routines. Brush your teeth on one leg. Wait for your coffee on one leg. Stand on one leg while you're on a phone call. It becomes part of your day, not an added task. And the benefits extend far beyond fall prevention. Better balance improves your walking efficiency, reduces joint stress, and builds confidence. Confidence matters. When you trust your balance, you move more freely. You take fewer cautious protective steps. You stay engaged with the world. Here's a quick test you can try right now. Stand up, lift one foot off the ground. No hands. See how long you last. Don't worry about the number. Just notice. That's your baseline. Come back to this in a month after daily practice and see what's changed. Now the fifth ritual, the one that brings everything together. It's called the daily ground flow, and it's drawn from practices like gymnastica natural, animal movement training, and traditional play patterns seen in cultures where older adults stay remarkably agile. The idea is simple. Spend a few minutes each day moving on the ground in varied exploratory ways. Crawling, rolling, transitioning from lying to sitting to kneeling to standing. These movements require coordination, strength, flexibility, and spatial awareness all at once. They're also incredibly fun once you get past the self-consciousness. Why does this matter? Because the ability to get down on the ground and back up safely is one of the most functional skills you can have. It's how you play with grandchildren. It's how you'd get out of the way in an emergency. It's how you'd recover if you did fall. Most older adults avoid the ground entirely because they're afraid they won't be able to get back up. That fear creates a vicious cycle. You avoid the ground, you lose the strength and skill to navigate it, and the fear grows. Ground flow practice breaks that cycle. Studies on functional mobility in aging populations show that ground-to-stand ability is tightly linked to independence. If you can't get off the floor unassisted, your risk of needing long-term care increases significantly. But the skill is recoverable. With practice, you can rebuild the patterns. I worked with a woman named Diane, 71, former librarian who had stopped playing with her grandchildren because she couldn't get down on the floor with them. She'd sit on the couch and watch. It broke her heart. I introduced her to ground flow basics. We started with simple transitions, sitting to kneeling, kneeling to all fours to lying on her side. Just moving through shapes slowly, 5 minutes a day. It felt awkward at first. She laughed at herself, but she kept going. After 6 weeks, she could lie down and roll to standing without using her hands. After 3 months, she was on the floor with her grandkids, building block towers, rolling around, fully present. She said it changed how she saw herself. She wasn't fragile. She was capable. Here's a simple ground flow sequence you can start with. Begin sitting on the floor. Roll onto your back. Roll to one side. Press up to all fours. Shift back into a child's pose. Sitting on your heels with your arms stretched forward. Come back to all fours. Transition to kneeling upright. Step 1 foot forward into a low lunge. Stand up, reverse the sequence back down. Do this slowly. Breathe. Rest as needed. 5 minutes is enough. Focus on smooth transitions, not speed. Notice how your body has to organize itself differently for each shape. Pay attention to which movements feel easy and which feel challenging. The challenging ones are where you'll grow. As you get comfortable, add variety. Crawl forward and backward. Roll in different directions. Experiment with getting up from lying down using different strategies. There's no single right way. Explore, play, a few safety notes. Clear your space. Work on a yoga mat or carpet for cushioning. Move at your own pace. If something hurts, don't do it. Modify. If you feel unstable, keep a sturdy piece of furniture nearby for support. And if you are recovering from surgery or have significant joint issues, check with a physical therapist first. The magic of ground flow is that it's a practice, not a performance. You're not trying to look good. You're rebuilding a movement vocabulary your body once knew intimately. Every session, you'll discover something new about how you move, what's tight, what's weak, what's possible. Let's take a step back and talk about why these 5 rituals work together. The deep squat restores lower body mobility and builds the foundation for safe bending and lifting. Floor sitting opens your hips and strengthens your core and pelvic floor. The cat-cow flow keeps your spine flexible and your nervous system healthy. Single leg standing trains your balance and stabilizers. Ground flow integrates everything and builds functional confidence. None of these are exercises you do for a set number of reps and then check off. They're practices you weave into your life. You squat while you wait. You sit on the floor while you read. You move your spine while you breathe. You stand on one leg while you cook. You flow on the ground while you play. They become part of how you live, not something separate you have to remember to do. This approach is different from typical fitness programs for older adults, which often focus on isolated exercises in a gym setting. Those programs have value, but they miss something essential. Movement isn't just about strength or endurance. It's about variety, adaptability, and integration. It's about keeping your body fluent in the full range of human movement. The more movement vocabulary you have, the more resilient you are. Here's another way to think about it. Your body is like a language. If you only use a few words, a few phrases, your language becomes limited. You struggle to express yourself. You become rigid. But if you keep expanding your vocabulary, if you keep using words and phrases you learned long ago, you stay fluent. You stay adaptable. These rituals are about staying fluent in the language of movement. One more thing. These practices are ancient, but they're not mystical. They work because they address the specific ways the human body is designed to move, and the specific ways modern life restricts that movement. Chairs, cars, shoes, screens, all of them limit your movement patterns. These rituals restore what's been lost. You don't need special equipment. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need to be already flexible or strong. You just need a little floor space, a few minutes a day, and a willingness to move in ways that might feel unfamiliar at first. Start with one ritual. Master it, then add the next. In 3 months, you'll notice changes. In 6 months, people around you will notice. In a year, you'll move like someone 10 years younger. So, here's my question for you. Which of these 5 rituals speaks to you most right now, and why? Maybe it's the squat because you miss gardening. Maybe it's floor sitting because you want to play with grandkids. Maybe it's balance because you've had a close call. Drop a comment and let me know which one you're going to try first and what you hope it'll help you do. I read every comment and I'd love to hear your story.